I have such a fun shot planned for us today. One of the guys I work with wants me to shoot a fun portrait of his grandson, Tyler. Now, he's a cute little guy. He's about 7 years old. He likes superhero movies and he likes dogs, but he doesn't have a dog right now. So we're going to wrap up all of that into one shot where he's wearing his favorite Super Tyler costume, and we're going to photograph it out in the Illinois countryside, and I'm going to bring my dog Tula in, who's really easy in front of the camera, to see if we can shoot a really fun outdoor portrait that shows his personality. Now, I'm not sure where outdoors we're going to be, but we might shoot in a barn or maybe in an open meadow or maybe in a cornfield. I don't know for sure till we get to the location, but I will be prepared with a few Qflashes to shoot in full sun or open shade. We're looking for some simple and strong lighting that we can easily move around on a farm location, and we want to prepare to shoot with flash that's brighter than the sunlight, because one of my favorite ways to add impact to a photo like this is to have a bold flash for my subject surrounded by underexposed color and supersaturated daylight. Some photographers call this overpowering the sun, and we can do it by using cameras suited for high-speed sync flash mode or non-high-speed flash mode by using a lot of flash power, or we can mix a little bit of both of those techniques. Let's head over to the studio, grab some gear, and make some really cool shots of Tyler.
Great photographs are easy when you have the right light, and the Qflash system from Quantum makes great lighting simple.
One of the limitations of shooting with flash outdoors in the sunlight is our shutter sync speed. On most pro and semi-pro DSLR style cameras, the fastest shutter we can use and still use a flash is a 200th of a second or 1/250th of a second. If we try to select a faster shutter speed, like say 1/500th of a second, the camera just will not allow us. It stays at 1/250th of a second no matter how much we spin the thumb wheel, unless we use a camera and a flash that take advantage of high-speed sync, like this Nikon here and the Quantum Qflash Trio. Let's set up a Trio to work as an off-camera flash in high-speed sync mode, and let's also set up my cool dual T5DR light setup like this that gives me gorgeous light quality and tons of power to work in direct sunlight. First up, the Trio. I'll use a Trio on a light stand powered by a Turbo 3 battery connected with a QBC clamp and fitted with a standard Qflash reflector. I'll take advantage, of course, of the built-in FreeXWire radio to trigger the Trio from the pilot that'll be mounted in my camera's hot shoe. I'll set the Trio to work in wireless remote group R1 so it's controlled by the pilot by pressing the mode button, then pressing the plus or minus buttons to scroll to the RG or remote group mode. Next, press set and the R1 soft key. Next, we'll work on radio channel 1 by pressing the radio soft key here and making sure that the channel is set to, my favorite, 1, and push set. Now let's activate the high-speed sync mode on the Trio by pressing the option soft key, then the plus or minus buttons to scroll to the select sync menu item. Then we're going to press the down arrow soft key to choose high-speed sync mode. Then push OK and you're all set. If you're new to high-speed sync mode, you may need to turn it on inside your camera's menu, depending on which camera you have. Today you'll see me shooting with a Nikon D7000 that does need to be turned on in the custom menu setting. You'll just have to turn on the auto FP mode and make sure that it's turned on. This will activate high-speed sync for me, but please check the high-speed sync mode in your camera's user manual to get it fired up in your camera in no time. With my Trio turned on, I'll slide the pilot into the hot shoe, then turn it on, and then turn the camera on. We always turn on flash gear, no matter if it's Quantum or not, from the top down, just like this. Next, let's tell the pilot to trigger the Trio in remote group R1 in QTTL exposure mode by pressing this soft key here, then the left or right arrows to change to the QTTL exposure mode. Then I'll push the test button and we're set to go. We'll activate the high-speed sync mode on the Pilot by pressing the Options button, then the plus or minus buttons to scroll through to the Select Sync menu, where we'll press the down arrow to reach, you got it, high-speed sync. Let's see if our high-speed sync is working before we get to the set by kicking our shutter speed up to a 500th of a second and hitting a test shot. Bingo, our flash works perfect. The Pilot is a great way to work in high-speed sync mode with your Qflash Trio or with your traditional speed lights using the Q-Link. And keep in mind that high-speed sync mode in a Trio will work with QTTL exposure mode or manual exposure mode. Now, I'm not sure which one of those I'm going to use on this shoot, so I'll make that decision when I get out on the set. Now, let me show you one of my super secret lighting setups where I use two Qflashes together on one light stand to make one gorgeous and powerful light source. I'll use a hefty light stand and I'll mount the super clamp right about here, and I'll add an extension and attach the QF76, which is a 10-inch by 24-inch strip light that's really cool. Then I'll add a T5DR, and I'll pop on an FW7Q free X-wire receiver set to channel 1, my favorite channel. Then, when I mount that strip light up here, you're going to see it's going to poke out a few inches so I can tuck a second light up underneath it. Now, the strip light all by itself is actually a wonderful light source, particularly worked horizontally like this. But I want a bigger light source when I'm combating the sunlight. So, next we're going to secure another super clamp on the light stand right about here. I'm going to add an adjustable extension and attach a QF75. Now that's a 26-inch octagon powered by another Qflash T5DR that also has another FW7Q receiver set to, that's right, channel 1. These two lights will combine to give us one big pile of super yummy light that I can run together from one Turbo 3 battery. Just so you know, there's plenty of power inside the Turbo 3 battery to keep both of these T5DRs going for hundreds of pops. So I'll put a QBC clamp on the light stand right about here, and I'll connect up the T5DRs, and I'll turn them both on by pressing the power button on the Turbo, and we'll set each of these T5DRs up the same way by pressing the mode button. And I'll use the up or down button to get to wireless remote group R2. This leaves wireless group R1 for the Trio. Just in case when we get out on the shoot, we want to use not only my big double setup, plus the Trio. But you know what? I'm not sure we're going to need that much horsepower. This has got a lot of light. To fire these T5DRs from the Pilot, we need to go back to the camera, turn off the Trio that's set to remote group R1 here on the Pilot by tapping the soft key here that highlights the QTTL mode and pressing the left or right arrows to change that to off. That tells wireless group R1 to just not work when we're working on this shot. Then we'll press that same soft key again, which will drop us down to remote group R2. And we'll press the left or right arrows in order to go from off to QTTL. And guess what? This now triggers both of my T5DRs at the same time in QTTL mode. That gives us the extra power that we're going to need, as well as that big soft light we're looking for the nice light quality. How cool is that? We couldn't have asked for a nicer day. Yeah, it's a little bit hot, but we've got big white puffy clouds busting in blue sky. We've got a nice little breeze, and in fact, I've got my dog with me. It's the perfect photo session. Lighting position, remember this is just going to be one light here first, taking advantage of high-speed sync mode. Well, my subject, I want to actually lay down or sit down in the grass, and then I'm going to get down in the grass as well and kind of shoot up at an angle. So we want to preserve the clouds and put some real cool energy in those clouds too. So that means that a regular light stand is just going to be too tall, and on our location truck we really don't travel with the small light stand. So we're just going to go with a super clamp and a little extension that's going to hook up to our standard swivel umbrella adapter, and then we'll put the metal cold shoe that will attach mechanically the Trio to that light stand. Then of course we're using the wireless free X wire that's built inside the Trio, and it will receive the signals from the camera position you'll see over here with the Pilot on it. So very simple, one light off camera. I'm working in the shade, very low angle. I've got a 28 to 70 millimeter f2.8 zoom lens that I'm gonna change around a little bit so that I can play with flash and high-speed sync to keep bold contrast in the sky and nice light on my subject. Here's how the shoot went.
Part of the reason for using high-speed sync for this kind of shot is that I want a shallow depth of field. You'll see not only the tree line in the back part of this photograph is significantly out of focus, but when we actually have his feet come up into the frame, as you'll see here, they're out of focus too. That draws the viewer's eye right into the expression of my subject's face, and the snappy lighting that we're using really plays off the fact that it's a young boy that's enjoying summertime.
There you go. That's way down there for me.
Now, we have more than enough power to shoot this without using high-speed sync.
Okay.
As close as that flash is to Tyler,
Nice.
we could
I like
easily
those.
shoot
Those are my
this at a
favorite
shutter
shots.
speed
Put
of
your
a
feet back
250th
together,
of a
too.
second
There
and
you go.
probably f11.5 or f16, but that would give me way too much sharpness. And it would also mean that I'd be shooting a lot of flash power, which means my recycle rate would be slower, wouldn't it? When I'm shooting high-speed sync, I can shoot nice and fast.
Well, shot number 2, we're back outside, full sun. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. So as you can see on my face, this is not the easiest sunlight in the universe to work with. But we've got Super Tyler, and Super Tyler has his superhero costume on. You ready to go, buddy? Yeah. So the sun is above and behind Super Tyler, and I've got my 2 light here set up, so those 2 lights going in one direction. That's going to give me some really yummy light quality that I can use in manual exposure mode. Now, I could use TTL here, but I would rather have more lights in manual power mode. That way I know exactly how they're going to fire, both in full sun and with no sun. So right now I've got a great stretch of full sun, and I'm going to have a shutter speed of a 250th of a second.
Now, for these shots, I'm not too concerned about the long depth of field. Now, in the previous shot, we wanted the background to be significantly out of focus. Now, here we've got clouds in the background, we've got trees way back there in the far background, and we want to use those to show scale. Tyler, of course, is big in character, but he's small in physical size and stature, and that really helps to play off. So the extended depth of field that I have by not using high-speed sync, and in fact using more flash power, works to my advantage for this shot.
There, so it won't tip over. And I know, yes, I know I want to work in kind of a square. There you go.
Weighting the light stand with a series of sandbags is really smart, and it's very safe too. You can see there is a bit of a breeze throwing Tyler's cape around, but it's also moving our lights. And if you think it slows you down a lot in order to use a light stand with some sandbags on it, particularly those, which I think is 25 pounds total there, it takes a lot more time to pick your light stand up if it gets knocked over a few times.
Excellent. As you can see, still sunny, and I've still got Super Tyler with me too, which is cool. Shot-wise, this is not a real good shot for high-speed sync because we really needed a lot of flash power. And high-speed sync, for all its good points, actually kind of diminishes some of our flash power and doesn't allow us to do big, soft lighting that's got a lot of impact. So light quality is important too. So even though we're just hustling to get a proper exposure sometimes using high-speed sync and a traditional speed light or Qflash style speed lights, sometimes nothing beats what I call horsepower, and having more flash power will allow us to make a softer quality of light, bring it in a little closer, and get shots like we did of Tyler. So this light source will help us show some of that really neat costume as well as battle the sun. 2 great ways to battle the sun. High-speed sync is one way. Of course, we've got fill flash for other things, but when we want to have directional light, it's just hard to beat 2 Qflashes on one light stand that we put together. By the way, aperture setting is f11, ISO 100 at a 250th of a second. Got us right where we wanted to go. Did you think, buddy? Yeah, looked pretty good. Our goal was to create the really fun superhero shot, but I gotta tell you, the ones that we did in the grass before the superhero shot might even be my favorite. I'm not quite sure why. Even though I really like the superhero shots, we really captured the essence of a little boy in the summertime in the Midwest, or at least what I think of. So let's take a look at some of the images that we did of Tyler when I was down on my stomach shooting in the grass. First up, we've got this fun vertical image here where Tyler was kind of looking off to the side. Kind of captures him thinking a little bit before we got to the more fun stuff. Then we flipped over to horizontal, and remember we're using high-speed sync there in order to get that really dramatic look to the sky. Moved in a little closer. And then I like to tip that camera angle just a little bit, and I like to experiment a little bit with taking part of the subject's head and pushing it out of the frame like this. And then I tip the other way like this. And finally, this shot right here, really to me, take a look at that. That really captures the spirit of this wonderful little boy at that particular age in the summertime. Just hanging on, blue sky day, nothing really crazy to do. I think those images are magical and the family likes them a ton too. But we want to get that fun superhero shot. We want him to be a little more of a character. So let's take a look at those shots. First up, one that I cropped square. You see I darkened the corners there a little bit too. He's standing tall and really projecting some personality. This one here, vertical shot where he's also standing tall. You see a little bit more of the clouds there, bringing in some more of that background. And of course, you know, you got to have the shot with the dog, the boy and his dog, the superhero and the dog. And then of course, here's my favorite shot of the superhero. Look at that with his cape kind of blowing in the wind. Really makes a statement, doesn't it? This goes to show you what we can do with a sunny day when the sun is overhead and you think, well, there's no great shots I can make with this. Look what we did. We were able to use that high-speed sync mode in order to get a cute little portrait up close, and then we were able to use plenty of horsepower from those two T5DRs in order to overpower the sun and get some really nice looking images. Please try these two techniques and see if you can get some better shots than I did.
There's plenty more great Qflash video tips from Will Crockett, as well as other top photographers, available for you free of charge at QTM.com.